Hey guys, my name's Frank, and this is my workshop. Lots of folks use the garden tractors to plow snow, clear their driveways or sidewalks, and there are few garden tractors more suitable or popular for this than the vintage Cub Cadets, both due to their size and their durability. If you plow snow with a Cub Cadet that has a hydraulic lift, then this is a video for you. Here we add a second hydraulic port to control a power angle blade, so you don't have to get out of your seat to change the angle of the blade while you're plowing snow. So this is a 1450 Cub Cadet from the mid-70s, I think of 1978, and it has a hydraulic lift. So it has a ported hydrostat and the hydraulics are available on it. Here, getting ready to remove the gas tank and the air baffle to give access to the inside of the dash tower, which is where the hydraulics are located. Here there is a single spool or single valve mounted that controls the hydraulic lift on the tractor for raising and lowering the mower deck or raising and lowering a rear implement or a snow blade. You can remove that valve, detach the hoses temporarily, remove the valve, which just unbolts to the steering column. And if you purchase a dual spool valve, twin spool valve, here is a picture of one, and you can find them on eBay for $100 or something like that. Then you can install this valve in place of the single spool valve, and it's mounted the same way in the exact same spot, and you can reattach the existing hydraulic lines to it to operate the existing lift, which is operated by the small vertical lever there to the right of the steering wheel on the side of the tractor. So if your tractor has that lever, then it has a hydraulic lift, and it's possible to convert it. In order to do the conversion, you need to modify that lift lever. Here's the lever pulled out of the tractor. At the bottom is the rusty part there with the hole and the bolt in it is the existing operating lever for the spool valve, and you just need to make a second lever shown there above with a piece of tubing to fit over the horizontal lever rod, which is here in the picture. That second lever is here shown at the top. It doesn't have to be an exact duplicate, but try to bend a piece of 1/4 inch by 1 inch steel to a similar shape as the existing lever, which is there shown on the bottom. It can then be attached to the piece of tubing which fits over the existing lever, and so now you have two arms which can operate the two spools or the two valves in the valve block. A second vertical lever is then welded to that piece of tubing. So now the two levers operate the two control arms independently. The one in the center operates the old one, the new one's operated by the one welded to the tubing. You reinstall this back in the tractor, and you can see it mounts back in the dash tower, and now you have two operating levers to control the two different control arms, which then attach to the spools. And here you can see the attachment of those two control arms, one on each side of the steering column, attached to the top of the spools or the valves that run into the valve block. You can run new lines. Here I've run soft lines from the ports on the hydrostat up to the valve, so that because the existing lines that came with that original single valve were hard steel tubing which no longer fit the twin spool valve. A couple of quick disconnect fittings shown here. One is modified with some flats being milled into it so it can be attached to the front of the tractor. The two quick disconnects become ports on the front of the tractor frame. Here the two holes are drilled into the frame, and I think they're about a 7/8 inch diameter hole. It'll depend on the quick disconnects that you actually purchase. And here they are mounted to the front of the tractor. This allows you to plug in the hydraulic cylinder, hoses to the hydraulic cylinder, which operate the power angle blade. Once you've got the two hydraulic lines run to the quick disconnects at the front of the tractor, you can start working on the power angle blade. Here is a 54-inch Cub Cadet blade with the attachment frame to fit this particular tractor. Blades are available in 42 and 54 inches. The frame which attaches it to the tractor is shown here, as well as the lift rod which attaches to the lift lever on the side of the tractor, operated by the original hydraulic spool which lifts and lowers the blade. So that's a function that's originally available on this tractor. What we're going to add with the second set of hydraulic ports is the ability to change the angle on the blade from the operator's seat. In order to do that, we fit a hydraulic cylinder. This is the underside of the blade, where two steel plates are drilled and tapped, and 3/4 inch steel rods are welded as studs to those two plates, and they're positioned so that the length of travel of the hydraulic cylinder is sufficient to angle the blade in both directions, right and left. So it took some trial and error, but it's pretty easy to work out with a hydraulic cylinder, which is not expensive. You can get it from Northern Tool or surpluscenter.com. And a piece of plywood is just used here as a spacer to hold the hydraulic cylinder off the rest of the frame. So the location of those 2 points is somewhat important in order to make sure that the blade will travel right and left adequately with the distance that the hydraulic cylinder is capable of operating. So spend some time working with the hydraulic cylinder that you purchase and make sure that the attachment points work with the cylinder in terms of its range of motion. You don't need a lot of tools to make this modification, just something to cut the 1/4 inch steel plate and a welder in order to weld the studs onto the plate. The welds here are nothing to write home about, but they were sufficient to hold the studs to the plate. Once you get the studs welded and the plates drilled and tapped, then bolting them to the frame. The holes in the frame are already there, so you don't have to drill any new holes, because these blades were available with the factory option for hydraulic power angle. Here those attachment points have been painted white to match the rest of the blade. So putting the blade back on the tractor then allows us to operate the blade, and let's see what it looks like in operation. Alright, with the blade attached to the tractor, then you can operate it. This is showing it angling right and left and being raised and lowered by the tractor's second hydraulic port. Now these tractors, the lift is only a couple inches on the tractor, so that's typical that you would only see the blade raise and lower by a few inches. You can see the hydraulic hoses run to the ports on the front of the tractor, And here we'll go look at the two levers which operate the blade. If you've ever plowed snow with a garden tractor, then you know the ability to angle the blade from the seat as you go up and down the driveway is a huge time saver. The alternative is getting out of the seat, stopping the tractor, getting out of the seat, going around to the blade, pulling the pin, changing the angle, getting back in the seat, and continuing to plow. It's helpful to be able to change the angle from the operator's seat. If you've plowed snow, going back and forth, up and down the driveway, this is a huge time saver. So making this kind of a modification to a tractor is something that's done pretty frequently, and it doesn't require a lot of tools or any special hardware stuff that's generally available. So if you plow snow with your vintage Cub Cadet and you have a hydraulic lift, then you might consider a modification like this. Thanks for watching. We'll see you guys next time.